Welcome to this week's edition of the Football Fan Show podcast. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm Danny Harrington, joined by my guest this week. It's Liam Barry, who's an Arsenal fan. And on today's edition of the podcast, we thought it was dead and buried, but the European Super League rears its ugly head once again, with 3 clubs still committed to it. We'll bring you the news of that. We'll have a look at the Champions League and Europa League finals and our reaction to the semi-finals as well. And more importantly than that, Manchester United fans. They invaded the pitch at Old Trafford last week, which saw the cancellation of their match against Liverpool on Super Sunday Sky Sports. And the match was postponed, and they seemingly got what they wanted. If they wanted the game postponed, we'll be talking about that. What is the right way to protest? What can Manchester United fans do? We even have the share price, although that's from Saturday the 8th of May, so it's probably gone up or down. I don't know. Since I'm not a Manchester United fan, I'm not looking to invest in them. But we'll chat about the Glazers, and we will also talk about potential venues for the Champions League final as well, with Villa Park being offered up. And very important for that discussion, which comes towards the end of the podcast today, is that the EFL have subsequently announced or hinted and indicated that they would be happy to move the playoff finals, which are set for that weekend of the Champions League final, to another day, to the following weekend, because that bank holiday weekend tends to be the home of the playoff finals. So you would have had the Championship playoff final on the same day as the Champions League final, and then the League 1 playoff final on the Sunday, the League 2 playoff final on the Monday. But it looks like that is going to get moved if Wembley is the preferred option for UEFA. And of course, this isn't without precedent, because they have done it before when Manchester United and Barcelona met at Wembley in the Champions League final. They moved the playoffs so that they had, I believe, the Championship playoff final on one day, and then lunchtime kickoff for the League 1 playoff final, and then either the following day at lunchtime they had the League 2 playoff final, or they had it at 5:30 on the same day. So that, and to be honest, with the lack of fans there, that will probably be what they do should Wembley be asked to host the Champions League final, but it could be Villa Park, as we'll get into. And that is all to come on today's episode of the podcast. Danny Harrington, Liam Barry. Let's get into talking about something that just won't die. It's the European Super League. We thought this was dead and buried.
Ah, still what? Two teams in there?
Three teams. Oh. I'll have you know there are 3 teams in there. They are Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Juventus.
Hell of a league that'll be.
Yeah, such a great league. So Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Juventus have issued a joint statement vowing to persevere in the pursuit of adequate solutions amid the fallout of the European Super League. Although, quite frankly, from all the statements that have that came out about it, they actually never mentioned the word Europe once. They just went, "Oh, this is the Super League," which actually someone I saw said, "Well, what does this mean? It's not a European Super League; it's a Super League. What does that mean? Does that mean Al Ahly get invited from the Saudi League? Do you have some Emirati clubs in there with loads of money? Do you invite Shanghai Shenhua and South China FC? Do you invite, Samsung Suwon from South Korea, Corinthians, Sao Paulo, LA Galaxy, New York Red Bulls? If it's a Super League, Boca Juniors, River Plate, You
could, and I was thinking about that the other day, but I think logistically it doesn't work, does it? Because if you think about, and I know that they may not really care about the players in that sense, but
they don't.
If you're playing in this Super League on a Wednesday and then you're playing back in your league on a Saturday, the time on the training pitch, the recovery time, and all that. If you're flying out to Argentina or to China or out to the Middle East and that, it's your players are going to be screwed. Then which in turn and yeah, they don't care. They might not care about the players themselves, but the overall product will then be impacted because yeah, if they're putting it all in for the Wednesday nights, but then on Saturdays they're struggling. That's not going to be that will eventually catch up with them, and then on the Wednesday nights they'll be awful as well. And like I say, their product won't be good.
But I would say to that, and this is just all hypothetical because it's not going to happen, that they would just end up playing the kids on the weekend.
Yeah, you probably see like with Real Madrid and that, like Castilla and that would end up playing in. But then there's the rules there saying they can't come out of La Segunda anyways, can they? So I think
they just move that entire squad into the first team and just go, well, you guys can play the Spanish. There's a great analogy that I used where in Gaelic sport where the league does not matter. So you've got Gaelic football and hurling where the league does not matter in the slightest. So there's 4 divisions for both sports, and the league doesn't matter. The league is just to develop players. The All-Ireland Championship, the All-Ireland Cup, the FA Cup of the GAA is so important, and it gets all the coverage. That is the most important thing, that the league doesn't matter. So you actually often see kids play in the league, and the cup is the main focus. But that's my similar analogy to it. But anyway, it's not going to happen. These 3
they need the English clubs. That's why there was 6 of them, because they needed them because of the draw, because of the worldwide appeal. They needed those clubs. Without them, yes, Barcelona, Real Madrid and Juventus are massive clubs, and there is no denying that. But if it's just the 3 of them and some others that in the grand scheme of football, people don't really have the same affinity to on a global scale, then it's not going to get the draw. Because I'm not being funny. Yeah, Boca Juniors and River Plate and like Corinthians and like they have big names, big historical names, but they're not seen as top clubs in the world now. They're just they're big clubs. They're big historical clubs in South America. You don't go like, oh yeah, I absolutely want to see Man City face off against River Plate. Because you know that actually, if you start looking into those teams and stuff, was it Boca? They had like Riquelme playing for him when he was like 40, and still just like jogging around in the centre of the park, pinging passes and stuff. So and it was all, and everybody knows that like Riquelme was never like a top trainer, so he was never in peak physical condition. So if that's if that's the kind of thing they're doing there, they're not going to be able to compete with a Barcelona, or Real Madrid, or a Juventus, and people aren't really going to want to watch that.
And also, when all the top players from those clubs migrate into Europe anyway, it's maybe Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Juventus can incite the wonderful lyrics of Bill Withers and Grover Washington Jr. Instead of just the 2 of us, though, just the 3 of us. They can make
like the Scottish League.
Yeah.
They just play each other constantly.
Yeah, just constantly. We'll max out this the loyalty cards of these customers. Not fans, remember, customers. And we'll ride them for everything they're worth. But back to this statement. So this goes back to... So they're really annoyed at the 6 Premier League clubs, and for some reason, all the articles suggest they're most annoyed at Liverpool.
Good.
They're most annoyed at FSG for some reason, and I don't know why. They should really be annoyed at the Glazers because they were the ones that helped put it together. But the trio
were they though? If everyone's pissed off with Liverpool and they're pissed off with FSG,
they have denounced the intolerable pressure put on them by UEFA to drop the project. This week, we have seen the 6... This actually broke today, that the 6 Premier League clubs that were founding it have now signed up and have rejoined the European Clubs Association, the only body recognised by UEFA to deal with European clubs. They've rejoined and have signed a statement of intent / commitment to UEFA. I hope that sounds kind of like a prenup. Like, hopefully they gave Bill Gates a call. He knows a thing or two about divorce this week. Don't slide into those DMs just yet, ladies. The Super League. So the Super League is dead, but these three clubs are just like, no, we're not going to play UEFA's ball. You know, we these three clubs are out there on their own. So Inter, AC, who else was it? Atleti. They're not in this anymore. They're just like, no, we want naught to do with this. It's just Juventus, Real Madrid, and Barcelona. And we've now seen rules brought in by the Premier League to kind of avoid this in the future, and the committees that the various committees that the Premier League have. None of the big six will be represented on those committees anymore, because all the head honchos of those clubs have had their positions removed on those committees.
But that will change over the coming years. I mean, at the end of the day, the big six are the ones who are basically guaranteed to be in the league, you know, and outside of that, Everton. Everyone else below that, they chop and change. So if you're going to have, we've got whatever from Burnley or from Southampton or whatever, there's no that. Why would you have them as people who are like fully in making decisions of how the league and stuff's going to be run or what you're doing and everything? Because there's a good chance they won't even be in the league next year. So then what do? You just have a constant state of flux. That's why they were all in those positions in the first place. Because as much as there's still promotion and relegation, those guys are always going to be there. It's not strictly it's not a closed shop because you've got promotion and relegation. But where are those guys going? They're not going anywhere. And just every now and then, some of them might go for a bit of a bad patch and not qualify for Europe, and you get a Leicester who everything kind of clicks together, and they have a good few seasons and stuff where they're up there and in the mix. But when all is said and done, it's gonna be the same six teams up there, and they'll have the power again, and all the others need them to be there. And I don't like saying it. It's true. It's rubbish that it is like that. But it's the truth.
So the clubs will make a combined just over £13 million goodwill contribution to benefit children's and grassroots football across Europe. A goodwill contribution. Sorry for pissing you off. Here's some money. That's you know what? It took these 12 arseholes to make UEFA the good guys after forever being the villains. And heck, we haven't even mentioned FIFA yet, who are even more.
Well, FIFA just went, well, we'll just see what happens. I don't.
Well, initially, FIFA were going to back I remember a couple of like a year ago, they were touting this idea, and FIFA were like, yeah, we'll create a FIFA Super League or something like that.
Well, they want to expand the Club World Cup.
Yeah, that was it.
They want it to be like a proper World Cup tournament, and they're working on that at the moment.
Which I completely disagree with.
Yeah, for me, I don't think this Super League was ever going to happen. I think it was a power play that they pushed with UEFA, because you think about it, they made all that the big announcement and stuff literally like days before UEFA were going to come out and talk about the changes to the Champions League, which have gone largely unnoticed because of all the furore around the Super League. In my head, and this is like conspiracy theory kind of work and overdrive, but it feels like to me that they were pushing, those 12 clubs were pushing for a bigger slice of the UEFA pie. They didn't want to give it to them, so they made some threats, and then as it's all gone out, you've got probably most likely the 6 English clubs have gone, well, if you can do a little, give us a little bit more or do some other stuff here, then we won't go with this. And UEFA will probably come back and gone, well, that's fine, but you've got to front it all up. We're going to absolutely hammer you. And, you'll have to take it. If that's what you want, then you're going to have to kind of take that kind of humiliation, the backlash from the fans and all of that, and then we're going to hold our hands up and go, "You're naughty boys," but come on back in.
Yeah, come in.
And then you've got
come back into the table. Come back round the table.
And then you've still got the three outliers who are, and let's not forget, like Juventus have been pushing for a breakaway league for ages, and Barca and Real have been constantly moaning about TV revenues and stuff like that, because they all want a slice of the Premiership pie. That is what they want, because of the amount of money and everything that is there, that's swirling around in the Premier League. They want some of that, and because they can't do it in their own leagues, they're trying other ways, and that's why Florentino Perez was like, well, the Premier League teams they're gonna have to pay us. They've signed something here. They're gonna have to pay us and stuff.
8.2 to 8, somewhere between 8.2 to 8.7 million is the reported fee that they will have to
give
pay.
Them, yeah, and do you know what? Liverpool probably turn around and go, just have Oxlade-Chamberlain. Be done with it.
He's worth that. There you go.
That'll do. That'll be fine. Just leave us alone.
That'll do fine. Just leave us alone. We're all right. There is, and I've said this before. Florentino Perez and Sepp Blatter, cut very much, in my opinion, cut from very similar cloths. Just utter tools. Speaking of utter tools, let's talk about the Glazers and Manchester United. The John McCririck lookalikes, as I like to say. Although I think John McCririck is better looking than the Glazers, but only just.
Well, whatever floats your boat, mate.
Exactly. Just because the Glazers haven't appeared on Celebrity Big Brother.
Yet.
When they're bankrupt, well, that's not going to happen. Clearly, they've got a cash cow in Manchester United. Well, the customers are revolting, and I'm sure they've said that to themselves. Where they're like, "Have you smelled Manchester? It is revolting." I actually like the city of Manchester. I've got to be honest. But yeah, the customers are revolting. They invaded the stadium. Now there's rumours that security let them in. And I don't know where these rumours have come from, but there are rumours that were perpetuated by Sky, presumably for viewers on their sports news channel, that they were like, well, maybe the security let them in. There are reports that they didn't face much opposition from security. The security might be supporters too and might have agreed with the protests. And I'm sat there going, that's exactly what I needed this morning, a whiff of pretentious bullshit.
I wonder if somebody's just like walking around the Sky studio and they've just shown them some footage of when the Trump supporters invaded the Capitol building and gone, this is the United fans getting into the Old Trafford, and they've gone, we're going with that.
Yeah,
this is a hot tip. This is a big scoop. Let's get it in
Forget
there.
all the other sports news. It's Manchester United all the way. But then
What do you
been.
think though? But what do you think? Because I know that a lot of people have come out, like pros and stuff, and pundits, and kind of condemned the fans that have gone in and kind of vandalised the ground. But have said like, yeah, totally get why they're protesting, but you shouldn't be getting in the ground. You shouldn't be smashing things up and stuff. What's your kind of thought on that?
I hadn't really thought about it. Because from my point of view, of course, you shouldn't go and invade. Well, I'm going to regret saying this, but somebody else's property, because they don't own it. They don't own the ground. They don't own the club. It is technically somebody else's property.
You're right. So we get confused with that as fans.
It's an invasion of somebody else's property. That is what it is. And whilst, and I think the Wrexham owner, Rob McElherney, who was on Radio 5 this morning, being interviewed by
Ryan Reynolds.
No, Rob McElherney. He's the other co-owner.
Oh,
the other guy. The guy
that
that's just on American television, not Ryan Reynolds. Scott Mills couldn't get Ryan Reynolds, so he got Rob McElhenney instead.
No, I don't want to hear from him. I just want to hear what Ryan says.
But as he said on Radio 5 this morning, that it's like he doesn't like the term owner. He doesn't that doesn't sit comfortably with him. He's like, no, we're not owners, we're custodians. The fans,
and that's a really good attitude.
The town of Wrexham, the people that have built this up. Like he was like, I was born in 1977 in Philadelphia. I do not own a club that was created in the mid to late 1800s in North Wales. I could never own that. So I'm just a custodian. The fans own it. The town own it. The people of Wrexham own the club. Now, legally, they don't own shit. Yeah. But it's a nice sentiment.
But I think as an owner of a football club, that's kind of what you have to, what you'd want them to realise, because as much as you're right, as fans, we don't own a part of the club unless it's a club that has a fan share scheme. We don't own anything, and we don't own part of that club. And quite often you as fans we go like, oh, I'm paying his wages, thinking that the shirts you buy and the tickets that you buy are really putting money in your favourite player's pocket, but it's absolutely not. It's kind of improved over the last year, hasn't it?
Yeah.
That yes, these clubs have taken a hit money-wise, but all that happened, if Corona went on, if fans weren't allowed back into the stadiums, all that would happen is that when the TV deals were renegotiated, they would be bigger.
Yep. Which
because the global fan base.
The global fan base, not the legacy fans.
Yeah, they don't care about legacy fans.
Yeah,
and what horrible! And I know they think they're being like clever and stuff by saying that, but it's an awful
legacy
term.
Fans, what a lovely term!
Yeah,
what a lovely sentiment.
Because I know in my job when we talk about like legacy systems, that's stuff that you want to get rid of.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah, that old.
That's old and crap, and we want to get rid of it. And what it sounds like how they're talking about the fans, which absolutely is not.
Yeah, could you imagine? You could imagine like a club in, say, like Harrogate Town in League Two. Like it's been an 84-year-old that used to work down the fucking mines and has always uses hard-earned cash to buy a season ticket or pay for a ticket to go watch that club. And they suddenly, not that Harrogate Town would do this because they're a good little club, but they just turn around and go, yeah, we're not interested in your money anymore. We're interested in money from China, India, the United States. That's where we want to make our money. We're not interested in you. Oh, you worked hard for your ticket. Nah, it's not valid here, mate.
Don't care.
It's like you're in the front of a line to a nightclub.
To United as well, and that specific incident, there is an element of, if you look back through history where there's through like big protests and stuff, when you hear like, oh, it's a peaceful protest, what has a lot of stuff really been achieved and change been made off the back of peaceful protests? When stuff kicks off, and from the Glazers' perspective as well, if every week those United fans were protesting outside the ground, breaking in and smashing stuff up, they'd be like, Jesus, this is just all right. Okay, this one off, it's cost us maybe $100,000 to fix things. But if they're doing that every single week or every other week, then when big changes happen in things, it's because unfortunately you have those people who take it to the extreme, and it tends to be like the extreme thing that kind of tips things over the edge, and people go, hang on, we better have a look at this now. That's not me saying that fans around the country should, if you're unhappy with your owners, go and storm the ground and start smashing it up. But
county ground, here I come. Don't sue me, Lee Power. I know you're a crook, but I know you're desperate for the money. But
to be fair, there's no security there. You could just walk in, and there's nothing to break.
Apart from the hearts of Swindon Town fans. Oh wait, they're already broken.
But like, so so there's an element of like, yeah, you know, you shouldn't be going in and smashing stuff up, but
No.
kind of is that thing of like, what would make them sit up and listen? And make no bones about it, the Glazers ain't going to sell.
Oh no,
Just like I don't think Kroenke's going to sell Arsenal either.
It's their piggy bank.
Yeah, you know, they're there for the long haul. It's like you said, it's one of the richest clubs in the world. It's an absolute machine when it comes to
Making
marketing
money.
and advertising. The revenue that they pull in off of sponsorship deals and all of that is absolutely unreal. And there's no one else like it who even comes close. I mean, they've got an official tractor supplier, an official cup noodle supplier. They've got official everything. It wouldn't surprise me if the pants that Marcus Rashford wears are supplied by Manchester United's official pants supplier. Like they're that into it. So why would the Glazers go? As much as the fans will want them out, I think because they started talking about, we'll revisit the fan share scheme, which I think would be a good idea if they relinquished up some of their shares. Or realistically, they would probably create more, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And then and put that in. But at least then those fans can feel like, okay, that they do own part of their club, that they feel is their club, and have some sort of a voice. And I think that's the problem, isn't it? Is that the fact that you've got these owners come in, they buy up the whole club. So if you look at Arsenal, for instance, as you said before about Wrexham talking about being custodians, that was always the kind of thing that was talked about at Arsenal. It was all about custodianship, and you know, we're here trying to steer the ship for the fans and all of that sort of stuff. But then as Kroenke came in and bought up all the shares and bought everybody out, that's obviously gone out the window now. And like Josh Kroenke turning up on the Zoom call with the fans for 2 or 3 days after the whole ESL thing, that's just paying lip service, because he wasn't interested for God knows how long before that, and they're not interested.
No, they're not.
And
they don't care.
And having that those fan share schemes where fans can own part of it and they have to be at the AGMs and you have to listen to them, at least gives them a voice. Whereas now you've got people like just shouting off into social media or smashing up windows at the club. It's like that Simpsons thing, old man shouts at cloud. That's basically what it is, isn't it? It's just a meme.
I will say though that if Manchester United fans really want to own the club, it is a PLC. All you got to do is be awake when the New York when the New York Stock Exchange is open. Your price is worth $16.64. So $16.64. Go buy it right now. That is now. That
feels cheap.
That they're up 0.91%. This is from Bloomberg, by the way. They're up. You can see the big crash where the Super League happened. Well, the big rise and then the big crash afterwards in share price. But
I really love the idea of the fans just buying up.
$16.64. So if you wanna go buy it, it'll cost you $16.64 per share. How many shares are there though? That's you know, the Glazers. Yeah, how many have the Glazers? How much has the Glazers made available? That's the question. So the Supporters Trust, they issued a statement to Joel Glazer, who said who sent a letter to the supporters. And I don't know if you saw the interview. I can't remember which Glazer brother it was, but they were literally Sky Sports News, hunting a story, were there saying, "Well, what do you think of the fans?" What, Mr. Glazer? What do you think of the fans? Mr. Glazer, are you unhappy with your customers? Do you see them as customers? And he just gets into his car and drives off.
That's like that TikTok trend where it's like, tell me you don't give a shit about your fans without telling me you don't give a shit about your fans. Couldn't be clearer.
Yeah.
Could not be clearer. Or louder.
Yeah, couldn't be. Yeah, pretty much. So, I mean, there is there is a solution to this, and I would say, you want to know what would really hurt the Glazers? Stop buying tickets. Just have an empty Old Trafford every week, because eventually they just go, where is everybody? Where the fuck is everybody? Why have we got no fans? And then you'll just have the Wheelstone Raider in the away stand going, you got no fans. And then they'll just be like, well, if everybody hates us, what's the point?
The fact is, right, if all
it
those
still makes money
fans,
in spite of the fans not being there.
And if all those diehard fans that have got season tickets decided, I'm not renewing, if every single one of them said, I'm not renewing, there's 10, 15, 20 more who are desperate to go and see. And it's all like, your armchair fans and everything that a lot of us are labelled as. They would all love to have season tickets there, but the fact is, it might be too expensive, or the distance, or whatever, or they just, they just haven't had that opportunity to get it. So if and that's where kind of the problem kind of lies, because what you would need some absolute incredible organisation to be right. Hey, guys, all you guys that have got season tickets now, let's not renew. Let's not renew. Not until these guys go, because the fact is as well, if you've got everybody to go, right, I'm not getting a season ticket until the Glazers go. The Glazers go, then everybody who wanted a season ticket, who had a season, I've had a season ticket for 20 years, but I gave it up because of the Glazers, and I refuse to go back until they're gone. Oh, they're gone. I'm going to go back and get my season ticket's all sold out. They don't care how long I held a season ticket before. I stopped.
No, yeah.
So.
It's ridiculous. You're in a no-win situation. But imagine if all those fans went and supported another team that was started by Manchester United fans that's currently in the National League North or something
but
like
you
that.
Can't. But this is the thing, is that I've said this loads of times.
It's an idealistic view.
It is, and it's so easy to say, well, why just support somebody else? No, that's not how it works. Because as much as we say, I support that team, we don't support them. We are afflicted with a team. For me, Arsenal is an affliction. They're just.
They are now.
Yeah. No, but my point is that once you've got your team, if you actually really properly support that team, it doesn't matter what's going on. You can, even if this Super League thing happened, I wouldn't be happy about it. But would I watch Arsenal playing it? Yes, I would. And would pretty much 99% of fans do that? Yeah, they would, and that's where they've absolutely got us over a barrel, because we love the sport, we love the clubs, and we can't just not care about them, and that's why it's such an emotive subject.
I was going to say that's why I'm happy supporting a lower league team across the board. So,
well, no, but still, you support a lower league team, and even though John Sheridan was in charge and you hated him, but every time they lost, it still hurt you, and you were so angry that you would come on here and you would be angry about it because you care so much about it. Even though, does it matter? No. But every time they lose, does it hurt? Yeah, it really bloody does.
It's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing, is what it is.
Does it spoil your day? Or does it, when you're sat there watching your team absolutely just be completely passive in a semi-final of a European competition, do you finish that thinking, oh my god, I could have done so many things in that time, and I knew this was going to happen, but I did it anyway. You do it anyway, even most of the time, even it's a small club. Think of Wycombe Wanderers fans this season. They knew they were going to get hammered like most weeks, but they were still watching. Yeah, they were. When they could be there, they were there. When they couldn't, they're all streaming it, or they're watching it on TV where they can, finding legal streams, whatever, hanging over blooming fences to try and watch it, or whatever it is, whatever club you are watching. You do those stupid things because you feel for some reason that you've got no choice.
I mean,
free will is gone.
I will say live streaming during the 5-0 defeat to MK Dons and then crying into my Swindon scarf was, which is available on our TikTok channel, the Football Fan Show on TikTok. You can go watch it there. You can see my utter misery. Yes.
But it's true though, isn't it? It's true, and that's what the owners will never ever understand, because and where the disconnect will always be there is because yes, they are running those clubs as businesses because they are businesses, and as fans we're all aware of it, but we like to but we're still caught up with the fact that no, these clubs started as community teams, so they grew up from that place where all those people, for all the people, so whether it was a working man's club or it was just a village team, or whatever, the town team that's grown and grown and grown, and it's still, from a fan's perspective, that's where that feeling of ownership comes from. Is that it wasn't a business, it was for people.
It's
it was
a community
for the
asset.
Yeah,
but they're not anymore.
But they're not because they grew so big that, and when it became professional, obviously that's when they will become businesses, and that, and those guys that are in there, even if they are people that, I do support the club. Yeah, you support the club now. You may have supported the club as a kid, but now you're a businessman who owns the club, and you always have to look at the bottom line, because as much as, and I suppose as well, that's the thing that we probably forget as well, is that especially with smaller clubs, is those guys are in there trying to keep your club alive.
I mean,
and if you look
not all the time.
At the lower clubs, I know you can talk about power at Swindon and stuff. But
there are plenty of owners I can talk about.
Small clubs that don't. No, at the end of the day, unless you're in, up in the Premier League, you're not running a football club to make money.
I mean, you're taking a punt, which is what people like Lee Power and Steve Dale at Bury, they took a punt. They tried to flip a club for money, and it backfired spectacularly. I'm so happy. Yeah, I'm so happy. By the way, that's the only thing I'm happy that Swindon flopped this season, is because Lee Power took a punt on trying to flip a club for money, and it backfired spectacularly, like to a point where I hope his racehorse business goes tits up because he lacks the funds to keep financing it. Thank God the club don't own their own ground, otherwise it'd be a fucking housing development already. Because he'd have,
like everything else in the town.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. He'd have just been like, well, we're selling the ground. Where are we going to play then? We'll play at the field at St. Joe's School or something like that. We'll play on the AstroTurf at St. Joe's School, but there's no stands there. Yeah, but it's a home ground.
It's fine. Everyone can stand outside the cage.
Yeah, everyone could just stand, yeah. Just, we are, well, football fans are customers. No, nothing more, nothing less. If you're seriously that annoyed by it, and you're a Manchester United fan, then go buy shares in either your club at $16 and what was it, 65 cents or something like that, or go just buy a season ticket with the fellow United rebels at FC United. Because
what division are they in now?
I think that they were in the National League North. I think they were relegated recently, so it's the National the Ryman. Is it the Ryman League below the National League North?
Oh, right, okay.
So, the Northern Premier League. That's where they are. Not to be confused with the Premier League. Or actually, if you like Manchester United so much, go support Salford City. They wear red like Manchester United. They're owned by a load of ex-Manchester United players. I know.
So Gary Neville's whole rants and everything about the Super League and all of that. As much as a lot of the things he was saying were right, he's a massive hypocrite.
Oh yeah.
Everything he's got comes from sucking at the teat of the Premier League and Sky. The people who've who've got these clubs into that way of thinking and everything anyway, being with money being the massive driver. And what is he do? Is he pumping that money into Salford City because he really wants Salford to have a real great community side, or is it because he wants to, because he's got billionaire owner business? Was it Peter Lim who's pumping money in and everything?
Peter Lim owned 40%.
To get them up through the leagues so they can be in the Premiership. Is that not what their ultimate goal is? To then get in and to eventually get into Europe and be doing exactly the same thing and be one of those big clubs? Of course, that's their ambition.
Absolutely.
So as much as a lot of the things he said were right, he's a massive hypocrite.
Yeah, I agree. And to be fair, everybody's favourite ex-Palace chairman calling him out on TalkSport for that.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's favourite ex-Crystal Palace chairman calling him out for that, being a massive hypocrite, having a billionaire owning 40% of Salford.
He's right. He's absolutely right.
Kavinsky asks, how about the Champions League and Europa League? City versus Chelsea, all-English final. I hope this takes place in Birmingham. It doesn't look like it's going to take... Well, I say I hope it takes place in Birmingham. It's either going to be Wembley or Villa Park. I don't know why if...
Are they considering Villa Park?
Well, Aston Villa offered UEFA. So Aston Villa bypassed the FA and went straight to UEFA and went, we can offer at Villa Park because it's in between Manchester and and London. One train from London Euston and one train from Manchester Piccadilly. Yeah. You're at Birmingham New Street.
That would be the sensible choice.
But the FA are putting forward Wembley.
Yeah, and that would be where it is.
Because money. Because I believe Turkey is on the government's red list. So the Ataturk Stadium in Istanbul cannot be. Well, you'd have to quarantine for 11 days.
Yeah, but for
they're also in a lockdown
for the final.
Yeah,
but for the game, the final and everything, I think I don't know. I think we said before about Chelsea got the win today. They got the win in the semi-final.
Does that mean Tuchel have Pep's number? I think there's
that, or is it just that now?
They did kind of play a weaker team in the FA Cup. Kind of.
Yeah, and I don't know what side they fielded today, to be honest. But I wonder if there's kind of enough that would have built up enough in them where they're like, hang on.
You want to know what would make me think that Pep Guardiola is the best manager in the world? If he played a weakened team in the FA Cup and the Premier League just to give Tuchel a false sense of self-confidence, and he goes in there all guns blazing, and Guardiola's side just smashed them 5-0 or something, and then I'd just be like, okay, I'm shutting up about Guardiola. He's clearly the greatest manager of all time.
I think City for me. Pep's not won it for 10 years.
He's got the right team, though. He's got the right team.
He's got a fantastic side for it, and I think they've got the mentality for that big game, and I think
they've got to win it. Or will it be a PSG situation? Because PSG,
I feel like in that one-off game that because the thing is they're always gonna create chances, and they'll have a lot of possession, and. Yeah, I think they could. I think they'll do it, but they will have to be careful because Chelsea will be able to hit them on the break with a lot of quality, and I think the thing that is going to be that makes it more difficult for City is the likes of Werner's. I know he scored the other night, which is great for him, but I'm hearing it seems like assists wise he's contributing a lot on that side of the game. Obviously not with his goals. Havertz has started scoring recently and stuff as well. Ziyech started scoring again. Pulisic has been putting in some decent performances and stuff. So they've got a lot of attacking power and a lot of pace, which could cause them trouble on the counter. And they've been so solid at the back as well. Have they conceded like 1 or 2 goals? Oh no, sorry. Apart from the West Brom game, I think they've only conceded like 2 goals since he's been there. So they're not conceding a lot. They've got a lot of pace and attacking flair on the counter. Mason Mount has been doing well. He's been playing really well recently. But I think this is kind of this is City's time. This is those downtrodden Abu Dhabi supported Manchester minnows are finally
Liam Gallagher is going to be utterly unbearable. And I love Liam Gallagher.
To be honest as well, I don't want Chelsea to win it again because the Chelsea fans I know will be unbearable.
Yes. Well, I
don't know City. I don't really know any City fans, so that's fine. They can all live in social media and it won't affect me.
Yeah,
but
Chelsea
I do know Chelsea fans. And
I think Chelsea might pull a surprise. My head goes with City. I don't want Chelsea to win because they've won it before. I'd like City to win because they haven't won it before. Because I like that variation, but I also don't really want Pep to win the Champions League at City. I just want that to just remain.
Prove you wrong.
Yeah, yeah, because if Chelsea win it, I could just say, oh, well, Pep didn't win it. He can't be the greatest manager of all time. Then, well, that wasn't the argument, but the greatest manager at the moment.
For me, I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
He's not the greatest manager of all time. But the greatest manager of the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting. It's the irresistible force versus the immovable object in many ways. I think, but. We'll see. If Pep pulls off the masterclass of having played weakened teams against Chelsea and then just absolutely spanks them, then I will come on this show and I will just say Pep Guardiola is the greatest manager ever. Just fuck Brian Clough. It's Pep Guardiola.
I think you should have to wear a Pep and I love Pep t-shirt.
I think I might have to. I think I might have to get one on like eBay or Amazon. And yeah, I think that's a suitable punishment.
I'll just get you one made, mate.
I think that's a suitable punishment. I think that's a fair shout. I once bought a Leicester fan. That was a friend of mine.
What if Real win La Liga?
I don't watch La Liga, so I don't care.
What about Zidane as my homeboy t-shirt?
Can't say the word I'm thinking of, but it begins with a C and ends in a T, and it's exactly what I'd have on a T-shirt with the name Zidane on it. Zidane is a no, I don't actually think. Yeah.
He's not a count.
He's a Dirk Count.
He's got no like regal lineage whatsoever. No titles.
Like I don't dislike Zinedine Zidane. I just dislike him as a manager. I think Zizou the player was just fantastic. A Europa League final. We didn't even get a chance to ask you. Arsenal. We actually talked last week about whether Arteta should be sacked because I thought he should be, but I see AFTV are now kind of we spent all those years trying to get Arsene Wenger out, fam. And then we've replaced him with mediocrity. And when your old manager, good evening, gets the win, one thing I will just say about that semi-final, Arsenal, the players they looked like they were just on autopilot. They couldn't have cared less.
Just going through the motions. I think I don't know. I'm not making excuses for them. They've been pretty dire most of the season. There's been some flashes. I think from an Arteta perspective, there's times you can see that he's got a plan, but and kind of bring it to the Pep thing again. It's like, suddenly Arteta's not involved with Man City anymore, and Pep's not messing up semi-finals and knockout rounds in the Champions League by mixing and messing with the team too much. But then you move over to Arsenal and look at what he's been doing in the semi-final. The first leg playing with a false nine when you have absolutely no need to do that, when you've got strikers on the bench, and just pissing about with the team when he doesn't need to. He doesn't have a settled first 11. He doesn't know what his strongest side is. We've got some really good youth players who last season particularly, especially when we came back from the break, were putting in some great performances with us. He sent Willock out on loan to Newcastle and he's been scoring goals for them.
Yeah, he's been scoring on left, right and centre.
5 in 5 or something. Yeah, exactly. Reece Nelson's not even getting in the squad. Eddie Nketiah is getting 3 or 4 minutes here and there. Like, yes, Smith Rowe's come in, but actually since we signed Ødegaard on loan, Smith Rowe, who was, along with Saka, was one of the standout players after Christmas, is suddenly getting shunted around or being left on the bench. And there's just no consistency there from him. He's just changing all the time. I think he's trying to be too clever, and there's no set way of playing. And also as well, so we talk about the young players. When you look at the senior pros within the squad, and I don't feel like they're leading by example or setting any kind of standards for those young players to lead up to. If anything, it's the young players who are going, well, no, this is how we play. This is how Arsenal play. When you start seeing Arsenal putting some nice moves together, who are the ones that are starting it off? It's those young players who have come through the academy and are playing the way that Wenger used to play. These are the players that are coming in. And we brought in the Xhakas Ceballos and that they're not playing that way. One, because Arteta's not allowing it, and two, because it's just not drilled into them in that. But we're not making the most of what we've got. And the worry for me is that when it comes to the summer, that we'll sell Willock to Newcastle, we'll sell Maitland-Niles, we'll probably either send Nketiah out on loan or sell him, but then we'll be stuck with Xhaka and the like, and we won't be able to shift them. And we won't be able to get in the quality that we want to replace them. So and we've got players like Miguel Aziz, who's coming in who's coming up through the youth ranks. That by all accounts is a fantastic player, and he's been training with the first team and stuff. And he was in one of the Europa League squads, I think, in the previous round and that. But you don't see him on the pitch. And when there's nothing left for us to play for in the league, which realistically there isn't, and if we win all 4 of our next games and results go our way, we could just scrape into the Europa League, and you may as well just give him a chance. I mean, I don't understand. Reece Nelson was being tipped literally 18 months ago as being one of the stars for this side, and he's not getting a look in at all. So I don't know if that's an attitude thing, or if there's Arteta's doing with him what he did with Guendouzi and what he did with Maitland-Niles when he had a little bit of an attitude problem. And my fear is that Arteta is you have one chance and that's it.
Yeah, I think. Last week I said it was too much too soon for Arteta, and he should probably go down the league.
Probably going out to stripes somewhere, shouldn't he?
Just go down the league or go down to the Championship and build like Swansea, for instance. That'd be a great club for him. He'll just get them promoted like that. But anyway, just wanted to say, Kavitsky says there is a game. Yes, he's right. You're right. There is a game at Wembley on the day of the Champions League final. That is a Championship playoff final, which would either get moved to the Friday or the following weekend, as we've had that kind of before when Manchester United took on Barcelona at Wembley. Would have conflicted with the playoff finals, which were actually, I think all of them were moved to the following week. So actually, you'll probably see all the playoff finals moved to the following week. Although traditionally, that is the bank, so it's a bank holiday Monday. So that's why they do it that weekend. But you would probably see them move the following weekend. You might actually see one game after the other. You might see the League One and League Two playoff finals played on the exact same day. So one's a 12:30 kickoff and one's a 5 o'clock kickoff. You might see that. But they would not, because UEFA wouldn't allow multiple games to be played on the same pitch. So the FA would accommodate it, as would the EFL, because they would have to for money. Yeah. But Villa Park to me seems like the more sensible option. With Manchester United, I think Manchester United, this is their final to lose, to be honest.
I said loads that Ollie wasn't the man to bring Eddie Silverware back to United and wasn't the man to kind of take him forward. In November time, I think everyone was probably thinking the same thing. But fair play to him. He's getting a tune out of those players.
Pogba's turned round. He apparently wants to win trophies and stay there. So I would say you got to get rid of your agent first, but.
Ferreira's the worst.
Yeah, he's just a cancer on the game, so it's just terrible. But I think we all thought, as you said, it was Ole the man. Should they have got Poch in, and suddenly
he was the first the first manager they were talking about of being in trouble before Bilic went. Everyone's going like, whew. Solskjaer was stinking the place out.
Yeah, Man City fans are absolutely loving it. Liverpool fans were loving it. They were like, "Oh yeah, Ole, he's our man at United." Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I still stand by. I don't believe that he is going to be the one that brings the title back to United. I just don't think he is.
I think the longer he stays, the more likely it is.
I think it'd be interesting to see what happens. Not even next season, because I know Woodward came out and said, "Well, I'm standing down," and then quietly said at the end of the year, and that's not at the end of the season. That's the end of 2021.
Yes.
So if he gets through all of next season, which I think if they win the Europa League and they're still around, in the top 4, United will stick with him.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what happens when the new chief exec comes in. So, and it might be that where Woodward's having this kind of long notice period, I suppose. Maybe they're using that as a handover, so you might see some changes in the summer. You might see them doing some different things. Maybe, and I know they've already they brought, is it Darren Fletcher in as director of football?
He's a director,
technical director or something like that.
Yeah.
So so they're making some changes there. So it'd be interesting to see what happens over the summer and how he's backed and the signings they make, and if they kind of, because I think that's the one thing you could probably kind of levy at United when it comes to their transfers. It doesn't seem like there's ever been a real plan around it. It feels like Ollie's just there and they're going, well, you can have this one, and this one. Just do something with it, rather than working with him to say, okay, well, and with the previous manager, like working with him and saying, like, okay, well, I need a central midfielder, I need another centre back or whatever. It does. It kind of.
I would say there is one more little detail to Ole that you've skipped out, and I think is an Ali Ferguson tribute act, because you've got Ole as manager, you got Mike Phelan as his assistant, you got Michael Carrick, Darren Fletcher as first team coaches. It just feels like it's a terrible, well, not as good Alex Ferguson tribute act. But if he finishes second in the Premier League,
do you know what, though? Alex Ferguson was that good. If a tribute act then gets you
a Premier League title,
a Premier League title, you'd probably take that as probably a decent tribute act. But I don't know. I think partly because he's constantly like harks back to the old days, and I totally understand how to get fans on side and everything like that is a smart thing to do. But at some point you have to really, really show that. And I think you get flashes of it with United at the moment, where they can do a little bit of kind of playing in that way. But also as well, you've got to remember that the game has moved on. The game's moved on in style and everything. You can't just do exactly what they did back then. And I think that's partly what he was kind of feeling when things weren't going so well for him. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think United take the Europa League. Villarreal, on paper, you look at Arsenal's squad compared to Villarreal's. They should have been able to beat them. But the fact is, their heads aren't right, and the manager's head's either not right or he's not the right man, and that's just the story of the season for him.
Yeah, and I did kind of question whether had the FA Cup final result been reversed last year, would Frank Lampard have survived at Chelsea and Mikel Arteta been the one getting sacked and replaced by Thomas Tuchel, for instance? And I did that with another Arsenal fan, and they said, well, the prospect of Tuchel being Arsenal manager is actually something that I would have been interested in this parallel universe of this hypothetical situation. But
would have been cool, but look, Arsenal board are a mess and they weren't cheap.
Yep, unless
they'll pay big wages to old players, but they don't want to spend the money on the manager.
Absolutely not. Thanks to the Cronkies, and maybe you just get a bit of that sweet dollar from Spotify. And then all the artists will be like, where's all our money go? Oh, it's going into Arsenal. So that's what happened with all the royalties for all the musicians. Okay, they all went to Arsenal in the end. Well, if it happens, it's unlikely to happen that Daniel Ek will actually buy Arsenal. That has been today's edition of the Football Fan Show. And I know what you're thinking. Normally these are like half an hour, an hour and a half long, half an hour extra on the end. And you're thinking, it's half an hour short this week. Don't worry, we've got a very special podcast about what makes a world-class manager, and is Zinedine Zidane underrated, underappreciated. And, if you're a long-time listener, part of our audience, you know that I don't rate Zinedine Zidane the manager. Zinedine Zidane the player, as you heard me say. But Zinedine Zidane the manager, not my cup of tea. I don't think he's very good. But that is a podcast special coming out in a couple of weeks. It's not going to be out this week. We're going to get the season over with, and then it'll be out as its own podcast special. So check that out. It'll be up at the end of not the end of this month, but the beginning of next month, let's say that. The beginning of June is when that podcast special will go out. Provided, of course, that he hasn't been sacked by then, but in which case it's going to look completely and utterly devoid of all meaning and purpose. Or you can go watch the clip right now on twitch.tv/The Football Fan Show, or go to our YouTube channel. It's The Football Fan Show Live, where we upload the full episode every Monday as well. So go check us out there. Of course, follow us on Twitter at TFFS Live. We run fan polls and we ask for your opinions on all the footballing action. You want to email us at any time, thefootballfanshow@gmail.com. You can also follow us on TikTok at The Football Fan Show, where we do the football news headlines in 60 seconds or less and have some funny clips from the show. It's good. It's nice. It's good entertainment. And as Richard Keys would just say, it's just banter. And of course, we're on Instagram as well, where we'll make the Zinedine Zidane piece a Instagram TV special as well. And you can go watch our special on the European Super League as well, which is available on our Instagram page and, of course, our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. By the way, it's at The Football Fan Show on Instagram, I should say that. Check out our website as well. It's deadair.media/The Football Fan Show. I have been Danny Harrington. Thanks once again to my guest, Liam Barry. 7 p.m, twitch.tv/The Football Fan Show next Saturday. Come watch us live or catch us on the podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. Have a great week. Bye.